forgot to get the book that I'm talking about. I have some things to talk about. These buns are crazy. I made sourdough. I made the starter over the course of a week with the fermentation situation and feeding it daily and all the things. My starter turned out beautifully, but I severely overproofed to my first loaf, and that bitch, I'll put a picture here. That bitch is dense and gummy, as ChatGPT, my bestie, described it. I said, hey, my sourdough loaf turned out like this. Do I need to throw my starter away and make a new one? Is the problem with the starter? And she was like, no girl, it's you. Your time management of this loaf post-starter is the problem. She said, send me a picture of your first loaf when you cut it in half. Show me the inside and I can give you an analysis of the crumb composition. And I said, okay. And I did. And then she shot back the words dense and gummy. And she's exactly right. And it looks terrible and it feels dense and gummy when you eat it, but it tastes so good. So my starter's in the fridge and I will be trying again when I can do it all in one day. Like, since the starter's all good, it's in the fridge, I can wake up, I get up at like 6 every morning or 5:45-ish, and I can get it up, take it out of the fridge, let it like get to room temperature or whatever, and then try again. Anyway, so that was a fun experiment. I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to have my first successful sourdough loaf, and I'll keep you updated on that when that happens. This video is going to be a video essay of 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. My goal with everything this year, since I'm doing the bookish content creation now for myself, is to write a written review of each book, write a written review of this, post it on my Substack, which will be linked below, and then do a video essay, just getting more in detail and personally talking about like my actual feelings of the book. But before we do that, a little bit of house cleaning. My mom died. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, to say the least. I've done my active grieving, and now I'm in the, I think, passive grieving phase, where, or that's what I'm calling it anyway. Active grieving for me is like the day that I found out, or I think it was nighttime when she actually passed. And then active grieving for me was that evening, and then the next like 4 days, 3 or 4 days, I was crying off and on all day. My emotions were fucking slingshot back and forth. I would be just fine talking to my husband about the weather, about some small menial thing that was not related to her at all, and then a certain like just small flash of something would flash into my head about her related to a topic in the most teeny tiny unrelated way at all, and I would just burst into tears because I think it's really sad. The finality of death terrifies me, and to have someone that was in my life from birth to death, from birth to her death, to my 30th year on earth, is bizarre, and it's the first time it's happened for me, someone that close. So I've been all over the place. Now I'm in the passive phase, where when I'm doing things that I know that she used to do, or that I remember her doing when I was younger, I think about it and smile. I was doing my nails, which I'll get back to that. I was doing my nails the other day, doing like, I got a dip powder set for myself just to do it at home, because I'm not that I get dip powdered at a salon apparently. In this phase of my life, they lift within 3 days. Every single nail, it lifts from my nail in 3 days, or within 3 days. So I got a dip powder set from Amazon and was doing my nails, and my hands were really dry because I just washed them at, like, I did the dip powder, got to the activator stage, and then got to, double check the instructions to make sure I'm not fucking it up, and it was like, go wash your hands and dry them, and like make sure you wash your like fingertips so that the powder is gone. Did that. When I was drying my hands, I was just looking at my fingers, and I noticed that my fingers look like her fingers. And it's so weird because obviously we all have fingers, right? But most people have fingers, and I just looked at my hands, and I noticed that like certain parts of my fingers like have the same qualities as hers, like her nails and the shape of her nails and the quality of her nail bed. And it's weird to me, and I don't know why. Just things like that. Or like my husband and I make gumbo a lot, and whenever I hate dealing with chicken, so whenever it comes to doing that part of the the gumbo, we cook the chicken separately in like a recipe that we think has a lot of flavor, that tastes really, really good when that flavor with the chicken is already like its own entity, and then we shred it, and then we put that into the gumbo, and the flavors just mix really, really, really well. And also, I just don't handle raw meat. Like the raw meat, like I'll do sausage, I can do shrimp, I can't do chicken, I can't do turkey, I can't do pork or ground beef. Yeah. So like making gumbo, just when it's done and I'm like just stirring everything, waiting for it to come to a boil to kind of simmer for a little bit, I think about her because she used to make gumbo limbo a lot when we were both younger, so I'm in this passive grieving phase, like I said, and that was just an example. It's really thrown off far more so than I thought, and again, it's my first time grieving someone that was so close to me, so I've never had to grapple with the effects that it has on your mentality. I couldn't focus on anything to save my life. It wouldn't happen. I could sit down with a book all I wanted to, and I'm just like staring through the page. Not even reading and not comprehending it, just not even, my eyes aren't moving. I'm staring into the blank part of the page. I am still, no discredit to the book at all. It's me, it came at a bad time. That's Billy. He's asking what I'm doing. So what you doing, what you doing? What you doing, what you doing? What you doing? And sometimes I'll put bird at the end, like, what you doing, bird? Can I? What you doing, bird? I'm still reading Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. I've gotten much farther than I was the last time I showed you this, and it's still just as good. I am quite sad to be finishing it, and I know that for myself, when I get to a certain point in a book, I know that when I hit like a certain amount left, that it's just gonna take an evening for me to get comfortable and sit and fly through it. I'm in Chicago, and I'm just sitting in my living room window with like natural light. Thank God for daylight savings time. There's not a lot of clouds in the sky, so I don't know what's going on, but the sun keeps going in and out, and I was just in a warm tone, and now it's cool tone. So, also it was storming last night, like a thunderstorm, and then it snowed like 3 inches overnight. At least 3 inches, probably 4 inches overnight. And now it's all melted, and it looks like there was no snow. So, like, I don't know what's going on, but that's why the lighting's gonna change. But yeah, so this will be my next big video, I anticipate. And there we go with warm again. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to see how it ends, and it will be a sad day when I finish this and have to put it down after I'm done like writing the review and doing the video, but it will be on my all-time favorite shelf, and I'm not even finished with it. So I have to go to Louisiana with my husband next week. Today is Thursday, March 20th. My mom's funeral is Tuesday, March 25th in Louisiana. I have to make a road trip with my husband and our dog to go to her funeral, get some stuff from my old house, and just tie up some loose ends, like just taking care of some things that we weren't able to take care of before we moved. But when I get back, I'm saving White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky, the one and the only, for a lakefront date with myself when I get back. Now, when I get back, we're coming back on a Thursday, so I will be able to, I just posted a chronic illness, like my overall health video not too long ago. Posture check. I cannot travel what is ultimately like a 15-hour drive with a few stops because I have a small and overactive bladder, which I didn't include in the video, and you're welcome for that, as it is a current issue that just showed up recently, and I've not accepted it as being part of myself yet, which I need to. But between me and my dog needing to stop and pee, it'll be a 15-hour drive from here to Louisiana. And when we get back from that, because we're going on a Sunday and we're coming back on a Thursday, there's a short turnaround time in there, and we have to get back in the same day because we're not staying in a hotel overnight. That will wear me out. Not to mention the fucking like social interactions I'm gonna have while I'm there with several people who just drain me. Anyway, so we'll come back on a Thursday, thank God, and then I'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to rest and recuperate, and then I start my new job on Monday the 31st. Very excited about that. But what I'm hoping is that we can come back Thursday, we'll get back like at 8 p.m. probably, and then Friday I'll probably unpack, take a lot of medicine, stay on a heating pad with my back, like just try to recover. But then Saturday or Sunday, preferably Saturday, I would love to go to the lakefront and just spend like time with myself and just be around the water, be in nature in a quiet area, and do this like a read in one sitting. This is what I've been saving it for. It is 51 pages. It's quick, but it's something that I've been waiting to get to, and I'm saving it for when I can actually sit and enjoy it with myself and with the lake and nice weather, assuming it's not raining at that time. This will be a video in itself. This will be another video. I just realized I've been looking at the viewfinder a lot and not at you guys. I made a reading journal, and I used an old book that I had, and by old I mean like 5 years old, and it was a moleskin like glue bound journal, and I put hours into it, hours, and then it started to come apart at the seams and I couldn't handle it. It was too overstimulating for me to have to try to keep it together and not just be able to open it and do what I wanted to do. So I bought a smaller book on Amazon. I will link this below, and I made my own. So I hand drew everything. And this is just the cover page, but I'm gonna do a whole video on this as well because I'm so excited about everything in it. I'm trying to find a good spot to just flash like a glimpse of one spot. I just showed you the cover. I'm gonna show you a writing that I did, like a font, just freehanding it from looking at something else. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of it. It took me a while to like get the hang of that and I was very proud of it when I finished. I think I've made all the pages that I need to make in this for this year and for all the things that I want to track, which means that I'll be able to use this for several years to come. So I'm excited about that. And this is my little pen bag that goes with my reading journal that is full of all kinds of like pens and goodies and like stationery things that just make my heart happy. My heart and my brain happy. And this just goes everywhere that the reading journal goes, and I'll dive into that too in the reading journal video. And what do we think this is? It is a book, yes. What do we think it is? Oop, 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 I almost showed you. It's a book without a dust jacket. It's Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. I hate hardcover books and I couldn't get a fucking paperback because it doesn't come out until May and it'll probably be 40 bucks and I don't know why. But this is our book club pick for this month, for March, and I haven't started it yet. But I did break it down into sections that I can digest, and it's 4 85-page sections. This will be great on a road trip to Louisiana, along with finishing Martyr, if I don't finish this before. That's the housekeeping. Now on to the video essay. My little, oh no, my little hairband just broke. That's gonna have to do. 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. This is my attempt at a video essay for this book. This so happened to be our book club pick for the month of February. And this was the little memento. Like I always make a memento for the book club to take, like if they come to the meeting and they have this to take home. I'm trying to get it where the light won't catch it. It's just the alternate cover of 1,000 Splendid Suns, because I feel like every time that I see this book, almost the same size as the title, is something about the kite runner, and I'm sick of it. Like, I get it, you wrote more, but why does it have to be on the front of every book that you write? We also had our meeting on International Women's Day, so that was fun. And then there's like the little stamp for our book club. And happy International Women's Day. I did a lot of tabbing. This book pushes the question of what it means to endure and at what point does suffering turn into strength. Like suffering for the point of suffering versus suffering to push a character to a limit so that it then gives them strength to persist. This novel looks at those questions through the lives and the perspectives of 2 Afghan women, Maryam and Layla. I think that this book is really worth, and nothing I'm saying is revolutionary, obviously. This book is not new and is well known. Like, its reputation precedes it by far. 2007, so this is, nothing is new here. And I'm not concerned with spoilers. This is not gonna be spoiler free. If you haven't read it, don't watch this if you plan to read it. But I think it's worth discussing this novel because of the emotional impact it carries, the historical depth that it covers, which is insane to have it all within like 415 pages. And then just insanely powerful storytelling. Like it's wild to me. Like I had to push myself to get through the first like quarter of the book. And then after maybe a little more than a quarter of the book. So you're introduced to Maryam first and you see her story and her perspective. And then there's a small crossover from someone in Maryam's life that's a far like outlying character. You're not introduced to the character at all. You just know that it's in the same area as Maryam. And then we switch to that character, Layla, and her perspective from being a little girl to where she crosses paths with Maryam in her actual life. Maryam and Layla both have different backgrounds. Their lives become intertwined because of war and loss and oppression from society, which their society is men. Like the women can't do anything. The novel spans through like Afghanistan's history from the Soviet invasion, the Civil War, and then the rise of the Taliban. When you're reading this, the key themes you'll notice are female resilience and solidarity, the impact of war on personal lives, and then the role that love plays in sacrifice and survival. This book was not an easy read. This was painful for me to get through, and I'm not typically someone who is who has ever had the opinion that a book is hard to get through, or like reading through certain scenes is hard to do for me. I've never felt as conflicted as I felt when I was reading this, especially during the scenes of violence, and like violence specifically against Miriam and Layla in their own home. Miriam starts off as an illegitimate child that comes from Jalil, from her dad Jalil and her mom Nana. This was illegitimate because Nana was not one of Jalil's wives. So Jalil has Nana and Miriam, the illegitimate child, live in like, he tries to give them a home, but Nana wants no part of it apparently, unless I misunderstood that part. But somehow she lives with her mom basically in a hut on the edge of town where like nobody can run into her, and it seemed like a pride thing for Nana, Miriam's mom. One day Miriam is determined to go see her dad at his house that he lives in town. Like her dad's a big deal. He owns a movie theater, he has multiple wives and multiple kids, and he comes out routinely, I guess. I didn't pick up on how often, but he comes out on some kind of schedule to see Miriam because I guess maybe Miriam may not have been a reliable narrator, actually, because I was gonna say that he really enjoys coming to see Miriam. Miriam really enjoys when Jalil comes to see her. And so she got frustrated one day and he never showed up to come get her, so she walked into town, left her mom, and went to go find her dad at his house. She gets to his house, he refuses to come outside. She sleeps outside waiting for him to come home because they told her that he wasn't home. Someone drives her back to her house and drops her off nearby her house so that she can walk back up to the house. And when she gets back up there, she finds that her mom has hung herself, presumably because Miriam left, and presumably she left a note. I don't remember, but she hung herself because Miriam was all that she had left in the world, and she didn't see the point in staying alive and remaining in the world if Miriam left her for Jalil as well. Nana is out of the picture. Miriam goes to be with Jalil, or she stays with him for one night, and then he sells her to like a 50-year-old man named Rashid to be married. And gross. But so she goes to be like, Rashid comes and gets her things and travels with her back to where he lives in Kabul. So Rashid comes and gets her from Jalil and takes her and her few belongings back to his house in Kabul. Shortly after this, like, we see his life with Miriam. We see Miriam's life with him. Sorry, this is gonna be a bitch to fucking edit. Pages 100 to 104 are Miriam's story, and we end Miriam's story. We end this section of Miriam's story with violence from Rashid, which just takes the cake. He seemed to be kind of curing at first and then shied away from that and was really violent with her because he got upset about something that she made, like food that she made for him, that he did not deem appropriate. So he put rocks in her mouth, told her to chew them, and then forced her to chew, and they broke her teeth. Like the last line says, then he was gone, leaving Miriam to spit out pebbles, blood, and the fragments of 2 broken molars. If you've ever had a broken tooth, that's crazy. That shit fucking hurts. Part 2, pages 107 to 195, are Layla's story, which is part 2 of the book. Layla has a much different situation. She has 2 brothers who are Afghan soldiers. Layla has a mom and dad, Mommy and Bubby. They say her dad's name and I cannot remember his name to save my life. And then 2 older brothers that are soldiers. The older brothers that are soldiers, the mother just idolizes, and they are a shadow that Layla will always live inside of. Her mother is obsessed with like her brothers and idolizing them, and not much else. Layla is pretty much like an additional burden to her mother. At least that's how I interpreted that. She was not her mother's favorite, but she was her father's favorite, and her father was, the way Bobby was written in this story reminded me of how the Latin tutor was written in Hamnet. He's an intellectual man, a teacher, and soft-spoken, not like a strong like demeanor, not macho at all. Homeschooled Layla, basically taught her lessons whenever she couldn't go to school anymore, helped her with homework, and then eventually wound up taking her to see like parts of the world that she would never have seen otherwise. Layla has a crush on a guy from school, Tariq, and Tariq has 1 leg. He's an amputee and he has a prosthetic leg and a real leg. The Red Cross are who is in charge of taking care of his leg and like refitting and giving him like new prosthetic legs. Eventually Layla and Tariq get together and they are low-key dating, as much as you can date in a war-torn place. And a lot of people have left the area, the village where they're living because of the war and the bombs being dropped and the absolute devastation that has been laying across their residential area. Tariq's family decides they're gonna leave. Layla's family won't leave because her mom refuses to leave the area because her brothers so far are still alive. So Tariq and his family leave, and that's the last time that she sees him. Before they leave, before his family leaves, he and Layla have sex, and that's it. Then they leave. And then shortly after Tariq's family leaves, Bobby convinces Mommy to leave Afghanistan, to go elsewhere, away from the bombs, away from the war. They can't get any food. The Taliban, I think at this point, have stopped any food coming in. Bobby goes in and talks to Mommy, and he comes out and he's like, Layla, she agreed. Oh my God, let's go. Pack your shit. We're getting out of here. And essentially a bomb drop kills Mommy and Bobby, and then Layla is like blown from the blast. Layla doesn't die, and Miriam, who lives down the street with Rashid, finds Layla and has Rashid help her bring her to their house to care for her. We switch after part 2. We switch to dueling perspectives from Layla to Miriam, and I think that's all. I don't think we see another, we don't see like Rashid or anything. Can't imagine why we would, because this whole thing just gives voice to the women. So that's part 3, is where the story crosses over between them. In part 3, Miriam nurses Layla back to health. Rashid goes on to work. He's a man, so he can, because the Taliban won't allow women to be out, basically. These buns are just crazy. I look nuts. Once Layla is on the mend and feeling better, Rashid kind of starts to flirt with her. And again, she's young. She's like 15. Rashid starts to flirt with her, and Miriam is like, you're fucking kidding me. And Miriam is a very soft-spoken, obedient wife. She has never really fought back against Rashid for anything. The whole first part of the book is us seeing like her subservient. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you have to do what you have to do to survive. And if you're in such a state of oppression, there's really not much you can do. She sees him kind of flirting with Layla, and then Miriam is like, one day she goes into his room and she's like, you have got to be kidding me. Surely you're not doing what I think you're doing. And he's like, why not? She could bear children. You never could give me children. And then Miriam is just like, you have to be joking. And then just is like, fine. Like, I can't stop you. You're gonna do what you're gonna do. At first, Miriam is hostile toward Layla. Rightfully so. These are new feelings. These are big feelings. She's never had to feel anything like this before. And Layla is younger and fertile and already pregnant, but we don't know that yet. But Rashid doesn't know that. Layla savvies up real fucking quick when she realizes that she is pregnant, and she has sex with Rashid to satisfy Rashid, because he gets angry a lot when he doesn't get what he wants, and he clearly wants to sleep with Layla. So Layla sleeps with him. Rashid knew about Layla and Tariq. So after, I think Layla was like really heavily pregnant, or maybe she had just had the baby, I don't remember. No, the baby wasn't there. She is asked to come downstairs one day, and Rashid hired this random man to come in and say, hey, I'm here to visit you because you know Tariq, and I was in the same hospital as Tariq, and I just wanted you to know that he died. Like, he asked me to pass it on to you, to come back and find you and pass it on to you that he had passed away. Whatever happened, he wanted you to know, if he couldn't come tell you himself. And of course Layla is crushed. Rashid did this on purpose because he didn't want Layla to risk running away, to try to plan like her escape, basically, because who wants to be stuck having sex with some old man in a hut? What, like, with his mad wife who hates you? She accepts this and she mourns Tariq, has the baby. Rashid is like,
whose goddamn white baby is that?
And she's like,
this is your baby, okay? He's just light-skinned.
And he's like, that's not my baby, but okay. The guy's gone, so I guess it can be my baby. So then she winds up having a baby for Rashid anyway, again. So we get, it starts with a Z, I can't remember. The first baby that was Tariq's was Aziza, and I can't, Zalmai, Z-A-L-M-A-I, is the son that she has by Rashid, who is an absolute brat, honestly. I'm not a fan of kids, but Aziza was great. Zalmai was awful. Eventually, through all of this, kind of in the background, Miriam and Layla become friends. More like a mother-daughter and sister connection than friends, by far, obviously. They defend each other. They work together to kind of outsmart Rashid in certain things to like make things easier for them. The time comes where Rashid is, I don't remember why, but Rashid got very angry with Layla, and oh, no, that's what it was. I do remember why. Oh my God, huge plot point. Tariq is not dead. Tariq comes back and he was gone. That man obviously was a liar and was paid by Rashid. Tariq shows back up and Layla's just like, bitch, what the fuck? You're supposed to be dead. Zalmai, Rashid's son, who idolizes his own father, that piece of shit man, at dinner the night after, so Rashid goes to work in the morning, Tariq comes by in the middle of the day, sits and talks with Layla. Zalmai sees it and is like, my mom's a whore. That night at dinner, Zalmai is just like, Daddy, Mom has a man friend. He came by and was in the house today. And Rashid is like, is that so? And then that's it. So like Layla's doomed basically. Zalmai gets taken upstairs, put into his room and locked in his room by Rashid. Mariam and Layla are downstairs. Rashid comes downstairs and starts beating the shit out of Layla, has her on the floor and is choking her, and she's like gone unconscious. In the meantime, Mariam is like, there's no fucking shot. I was never able to have a kid. This girl comes into my life and is more of a daughter to me and more a family to me than anyone I've ever known in my life, in all of my existence. There's no fucking way this piece of shit man is taking her out of my life and taking her out of her kids' lives, because her daughter, who she had to give up to an orphanage because she couldn't feed, because the Taliban took the food that was coming to like the citizens that were still in the area, stopped the inflow of food, so she had to give up her daughter from Tariq to an orphanage so that she could be fed and clothed reliably, somewhat reliably, more reliably than the private citizens. Mariam goes out to the tool shed, runs out to the shed, grabs a shovel, comes back and kills Rashid with a shovel, beats him to death with a shovel. Boss bitch move. When I tell you, I tabbed this spot. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna read a little bit. Mariam lost count of how many times the belt cracked, how many pleading words she cried out to Rashid, how many times she circled around the incoherent tangle of teeth and fists and belt before she saw fingers clawing at Rashid's face, chipped nails digging into his jowls and pulling at his hair and scratching his forehead. How long before she realized, with both shock and relish, that the fingers were hers. He let go of Layla and turned on her. At first, he looked at her without seeing her. Then his eyes narrowed, appraised Mariam with interest. The look in them shifted from puzzlement to shock, then disapproval, disappointment even, lingering there a moment. Mariam remembered the first time she had seen his eyes under the wedding veil, in the mirror, with Jaleel looking on. How their gazes had slid across the glass and met, his indifferent, hers docile, conceding, almost apologetic. Apologetic. And this is, I tabbed it immediately and sloppily. And when I got to this point and I just sat back and was like, I've never seen feminine rage written so well by a man. Like the word is in italics. Apologetic. Mariam saw now in those same eyes what a fool she had been. Had she been a deceitful wife, she asked herself? A complacent wife? A dishonorable woman? Discreditable? Vulgar? What harmful thing had she willfully done to this man to warrant his malice, his continual assaults, the relish with which he tormented her? Had she not looked after him when he was ill, fed him and his friends, cleaned up after him dutifully? Had she not given this man her youth? Had she ever justly deserved his meanness? The belt made a thump when Rashid dropped it to the ground and came for her. Some jobs, that thump said, were meant to be done with bare hands. But just as he was bearing down on her, Mariam saw Layla behind him pick something up from the ground. She watched Layla's hand rise overhead, hold, then come swooping down against the side of his face. Glass shattered. The jagged remains of the drinking glass rained down on the ground. There was blood on Layla's hands, flowing from the open gash on Rashid's cheek, blood down his neck on his shirt. He turned around, all snarling teeth and blazing eyes. They crashed to the ground, Rashid and Layla thrashing about. He ended up on top, his hands already wrapped around Layla's neck. Bro, I was not ready. The difficulty with which I had to push myself, what I've never had to do before in my life, reading a difficult scene, not this one. Before that, the scenes where Rashid is beating Mariam and beating Layla were so hard to get through because there was foreshadowing immediately before, and it's so painful just to know what's about to come. Like there's no escape for these women. The Taliban are everywhere and they are only pro-man. You can't go anywhere as a woman without a man. You can't be uncovered unless a man wants you to be uncovered, which I think was not the Taliban actually, it was before them. They were way too strict for that. But so many things, I cannot. Mariam kills Rashid because he's choking Layla. This is the end for somebody, and Mariam knows it. And it's either gonna be Mariam or Layla and her kids. But Mariam basically is just like, listen. She's referred to herself as an old hag several times, like an ugly old hag several times in the book. And that's heartbreaking in itself because she's a beautiful person. And I don't mean on the outside. Like that means nothing. A beautiful, golden soul, obviously. Mariam gets Layla, Aziza, and Zalmai out. Like she gives them what they need to get out. They go, they get out. They find Tariq and they live a happy life. Meanwhile, Mariam gets taken in and is tried as if a woman can get a fair trial. Even though she killed him. There's no point. She gets tried. She's found guilty. She goes to jail. She is like a queen in jail because she killed a man. All these fucking women that are in this jail hate the men because why would anyone in that space love a man after what they do to them? And then Mariam is executed for her crimes against a man. I fully, in my heart, you can say it's murder in general, and you won't convince me. It's because it was a man and a woman did something to the man. Now that recap is done, right in the middle of this fucking book review. What makes the book powerful? I have notes. The emotional depth and the characterization. Khaled Hosseini, for me at least, made Miriam and Layla come right off the page. It felt like I was sitting in the room with them, but I was invisible and I was just watching what was happening. They came straight off the page and right to life in front of me. The contrast between Miriam and Layla's upbringings. Miriam's life consisted of isolation, shame, and illegitimacy. From the very beginning, she was taught that she was nothing, she would never be anything. Her own mother taught her that, and then society taught her that, after Jaleel taught her that, and then Rashid taught her that. So she never had a chance. Versus Layla, who was brought up with the importance of education, especially for women, from Bobby, and family support. I think the contrast between the two of them makes their eventual relationship and like friendship, whatever we're gonna call it, between Miriam and Layla so much stronger because they came from such different places and saw the love that each of them both had to give, and then allowed a space for that to be safe between them, away from Rashid, away from the Taliban, away from anything else, any other man anywhere in the story. The story is a story of female resilience. That's another point that makes it strong to me, is the portrayal of female resilience and agency, and how women have had to get by from the oppression of men and then society, and both men and society. Like, people talk about being a feminist like it's a bad thing. The only reason that we're able to do anything, that women are able to do anything, is because of feminism. Look it up. Come on, educate yourself. This is not just a novel about suffering. It's about endurance and solidarity, finding strength and something to hold on to in an impossible situation. I thought it was so interesting and yet so natural how Miriam and Layla's relationship went from hostile to a deep understanding and familial love between the two of them. Miriam was the mother that Layla could never have, and Layla was the daughter that Miriam could never have. And it was so unexpected and so beautiful. And I think that the strength and the love in their relationship between the two of them is what pushes both of them to continue to have the will to survive, and continues to give them both this never-ending well of resilience and desire to want to live, because it's for each other and then for Aziza, and fuck Zalmai, bro. I think that their bond challenges the idea that women are powerless within oppressive systems. You just need a morsel, a teeny little bit, to build an absolute masterpiece of a relationship. So much can grow from that tiny little input. Another strength that I think that was a part of the book, and really well done, honestly. Obviously, the book is a hit. The Soviet invasion, the Mujahideen rule, and the Taliban takeover are not just historical markers in this story. You get like an up close and personal depiction and layout of how these events directly affected the characters and their lives, which leads me to the next sub point of this, the effect that war has on women. It gave us such a detailed up close look at how war affected the lives of women. Like, we know it affects the lives of men you're fighting. I guess during this time, it was like in the 70s, I believe, if I'm not crazy. The 70s and the 80s. The back of the book says, set against the volatile events of Afghanistan's last 30 years, and this was published in 2007. But the impact that war has on women is not just like a physical violence, but it's also the stripping away of autonomy, like taking away their access to education, bans on education, again with the feminism thing. Moving away from the things that I thought were like the strengths of the novel, I only have two mild criticisms that I could possibly think of to actually consider that other people might feel, because I certainly didn't feel this way, but when I reflect back on my reading of the book and my time with it, the only two things that I could see as something that someone could criticize is that, much like some people say about A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, they call it trauma porn. I feel like that could be something here, because it's just like, it's an unrelenting tragedy, the whole thing. It's all so fucking sad. Yes, Layla gets a good ending because she gets to be with her kids and Tariq again, but she had to lose Miriam, who was like the only kind, compassionate, loving mother that she never had. So she had to give up like this. There was this very bittersweet, like, of course I have to live on for my kids, but I want Miriam to come with me. But if I can't have Miriam come with me, I can't just stop. I have to be there for my kids. Like, I can't go with Miriam and be put in jail. Like, I need to be there for Aziza and Zalmai, and I want to be there for Tariq. Anyway, the whole book club meeting that we had for this book book was just based on how heavy and how sad and tragic everything was, especially in today's climate where there is such a dick swinging patriarchy, oligarchy situation happening, and there's not a lot of women up there, and the women that are up there are not who we as women want to claim. I'm a leftist and I do not align with anything on the right. I'm not about that life. Anyway, getting back to the book thing. It's like every time hope appears, you better not feel happy about it, because it's gonna be followed by something that just immediately crushes it. You start to feel hope and you hear the anvil coming from out, like the whee, and you look up and then the anvil crushes the hope. Does this level of tragedy serve the novel's purpose? Yes, I think. But does it also verge on like emotional exhaustion as well because of that? Yes. That, and then the only other thing that I had is that someone could say that the male characters lack complexity. I don't give a fuck, honestly. Like, a lot of men lack complexity, period. Not all of them. Some of them. Most of them. Most of them. Rashid is almost like a cartoon villain. He is so predictable. You just know anything is gonna set him off. His ego is fragile. His masculinity is fragile. His world is about this big, and that's just big enough for his head. Like, he doesn't, Anyway, my final thoughts on 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. This book stays with you. It will not leave you. I had to dig a little bit because I did push it out of my head a little bit, because it is kind of heavy in terms of, it is very heavy in terms of content and plot and what's happening. But I still remember every detail. And when I remember every detail, I remember how I felt when I was reading it, and that was not fun. I was pushing myself through it with an overwhelming sense of like lingering dread while I was reading it. The larger message of the book definitely stuck with me, which is that while the novel is about endurance, it's also to give hope, because it very much is also about the quiet ways that people resist oppression in the most teeny tiny insignificant ways in general, but very significant ways for them as characters. Like Layla and Miriam's little moments between them that were the little intimate moments where they would talk about their own lives and their pasts, and when Layla wanted to know everything that she could about Miriam and just asked her about it, was so intimate, and it meant so much to them, but it meant nothing to the world. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, please don't see me, please don't see me, please don't see me, please don't see me. Obviously, the lasting relevance of this, which is something that is a part of every single paper that we have to write for my master's program about any book that we write about or read or write about, whatever, is the lasting relevance and how it continues to have an effect if it is like a very powerful novel. Even though this book is set in Afghanistan, the themes of like systemic oppression, resilience, and found family are universally relevant. Onto a slightly lighter note about this are some things that I am going to include in my written review of this book. I rated this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Would I let these characters babysit my dog? Miriam? Yes. My dog would be so well cared for. Absolutely. Layla? Yes, but without her kids, because my dog doesn't like kids. Rashid? Hell no. I'm gonna call the ASPCA on Rashid, because that animal, which is that's a disservice to animals. Animals are not that cruel. Hell no. If this book were a coffee, what would it be? I think that it would be like a double shot of espresso. Intense, not with anything, just a double shot of espresso. Intense, bitter, and impossible to forget until you wash it away with something else. And finally, a 1-sentence review of this entire book. Much like anime villains, reached into my chest, grabbed my heart, twisted that shit around, ripped it out, threw it on the ground, stomped on it, and then I looked up and said, thank you for that experience. That might not have been 1 sentence, but it's close as I'm getting. Have you read this book? If so, what were your thoughts? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you cry a lot? Did you love it? Why? If you enjoyed this video, or you have other things to say, or you want to stick around for more of my upcoming reviews on other books like Martyr or Blue Sisters, or anything from this entire TBR shelf, which again is very ambitious, then please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. I would be so appreciative if for your subscription. That would be awesome. That's all I have for today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for your time and for being here, and I love you, and I'll talk to you then. Bye!